Minute is rated R. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is also rated R. We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the road we will talk about some adult content and use some of our favorite swear words.
Gobby, Jaxie, Drongo, Risty.
Consider yourselves warned.
Welcome to Rocky Horror Minute, the podcast where we discuss the Rocky Horror Picture Show 1 minute at a time in excruciating detail. I'm your host, Kelly.
And I'm Leandra. And of course, returning as our guest is a Muppet with a sex addiction, Oscar.
I like to call it a profession.
Aww. It's when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Ain't that the truth? Hi, everyone.
So what happened in this minute, Leandra?
Good question. Next question. No. This is the real beginning of Damn It, Janet. It is our first look into the music with actors performing, and it's not just lips. And the lyrics are, "The river was deep, but I swam it. The future is ours, so let's plan it.
Janet.
So please, don't tell me to can it.
Janet.
I've one thing to say, and that's, damn it, Janet, I love you. The road was long, but I ran it.
Janet.
There's a fire in my heart, and you fan it.
Janet.
If there's one fool for you, then I am it.
Janet.
I've one thing to say, and that's, damn it, Janet, I love you.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Here's the ring to prove that I'm no joker. There's 3 ways that love can grow. That's good, bad, or mediocre. Oh, Janet, I love you so. Oh, it's nicer than.
Yes, that's Janet coming in. She yells, "Oh, it's nicer than..." She also runs into the empty church, to talk about her ring.
She's trying to find somebody to show it off to.
Yeah.
She's like, creepy people just came in.
What a mystery that I won't get to solve. I won't know what it is nicer than.
Yes, because we're going to send you to the forest where Perry Bedden has killed everyone.
That's all right. At least it's better than, dropping me in a boat into the middle of the ocean. So I appreciate you keeping me on land.
Yeah, that's true.
Oscar,
right.
everyone. And that's our show.
Okay. Again, just want to highlight how much I love the over-the-top acting. Barry Bostock is just a treasure. He's throwing his back into it the way that Janet was throwing her back into it in the past couple of minutes. I mean, so ridiculously soap opera.
Yeah, he's fantastic in this. You really see his musical theater background coming to life here. And I've played both Brad and Janet, and Brad is by far the most fun in this scene.
It's definitely a scene that, when you're a Brad performer, this is like your scene. This is like your moment. This is his minute.
I will say that as somebody who's played the Janet tier Brad many times, you are a truly fantastic Brad. Although Leandra does it very differently and is also one of my favorite Brads ever. Leandra does like a very intentionally over the top and kind of cheesy performance. Okay, I have a question.
I have an answer.
I don't.
Why would you bring chalk in your pocket to a wedding?
Wrong answers only.
Yeah, I know, right? Because Brad did, because we see him draw a heart on the door of the church.
Why is that chalk in there?
But yeah, I mean, I understand why he's got an engagement ring, but the chalk is crazy.
Okay. So you know that I'm kind of the conspiracy theorist of the bunch.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stupid things going on in my head. And I just had a thought. You know how in most churches, and if you've never been to a church, let me paint a picture with my words. While people are in the major area, the sanctuary is what it's called, and they're listening to the minister or the priest, they generally put their children some other place, and the children are at something called Sunday school.
Yeah.
What if Brad, who was already just nervous as fuck about being around Janet, who he thinks he's gonna pop the question to, he takes a break from the reception and just starts wandering around. He gets over to the Sunday school room and is like, chalk? That's weird. And then he's a kleptomaniac and he puts it in his pocket because stealing from a church is hilarious.
That's
To
a
Brad.
theory.
It makes as much sense as anything else.
We can just chalk it up to a plot hole.
Yeah.
I love your single entendres.
I thought you were going to go a different direction. I thought for a second there you were going to say that Brad might have actually been the Sunday school teacher, and he just realized there was chalk in his pocket from when he was teaching Sunday school.
I
Chalk in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
With Oscar, you can never tell.
I don't carry chalk. No time for chalk.
I sure as hell know you don't carry any engagement rings.
Going a quick tangent, I actually gave up having a box in my Brad outfit back in 2006 because they kept getting lost or they kept getting stolen. I'm not quite sure which.
I would say you gave up on having a box long ago, Oscar. But actually, fun fact in this scene, I usually use my real former engagement ring. I was once engaged, never married. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm fine.
It's all right. She cut her own hair. It was fine.
I'm following my heart. But anyway, I have an engagement ring. It's not a diamond ring, but it's a decent ring, and it looks like an engagement ring. So now that is my engagement ring prop when I'm playing Janet, and it's fine. It's fine.
Oh god.
It is fine though. I called off the wedding myself, and for very good reason.
He was a serial killer in the woods trying to kill people.
Perry Bedden,
in movies.
Fuck you. You left me at the altar.
Yep. You heard it here first, folks. So there's Riff and Magenta are in this scene. They're 30 feet away from the action, at least at the beginning, but they're still participating in the song.
Their participation is one of the first audience participation things I learned, to kind of say Janet along with them.
It's an easy one.
Yeah, and it's fun or at least it was fun for me back in the day as a newcomer.
I like the just kind of general suspension of disbelief that musicals have, that everybody already knows the words, everybody who is a bystander, they also are aware of everything. So I do enjoy that. But if you're looking at this through the lens of reality, I have so many questions about Riff and Magenta in this moment.
I would like to highlight one of my least favorite continuity errors in the movie, which is Janet, once Brad runs up to the church door and draws a heart, she kind of just runs to him and he spins her around. She's holding her bouquet in her purse, then it cuts away for a split second to her face, and then the bouquet's gone forever, and the purse is on the ground. It sucks if you're playing Janet and holding a bouquet and have to figure out something to do with it around this time.
You can almost make a case that she's throwing all of that stuff off, like, under the shot, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I think that there's at least a fair level of continuity that's not quite there with this.
Well, I mean, the purse is on the ground, fair enough, whatever, but the bouquet is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, she would have had to, like, Heisman that thing down, like, way off into the distance, and considering we're looking at her face at the time, that doesn't seem likely. Regardless, I can't remember who we identified as the what's that job title?
It was just continuity, and I'm looking that up because she has a great job.
Is she listed on the credits?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's listed in the
Oh, that
opening
is
credits.
awesome. Well, while Leandra's searching for the name of the person who was in charge of continuity, I just want to say that I was years old when the great mystery of why all my Janets kicked their bouquet behind them in the middle of Damn It, Janet. I now know why they do that.
Exactly. Honestly, I get rid of it when I'm still standing up close to the seats and the big. So I'm close to the front row of seats, and Brad's up there drawing a heart. I usually get rid of it then, because I just
That's
can't
polite.
I can't think of anything better to do that isn't going to result in there being a bouquet on the stage that somebody has to get rid of. But technically, she does hold on to it until a minute later when she's up there, and it disappears forever.
So, Sue Mary, fuck you very much, unless you're watching this, and then I'm very sorry. I'm sure you did a great job. Probably saved us from a lot of silly shit.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that you were actually doing your job, I can only imagine what a shit show this movie was before you went in there and did some continuity work. But you should have taken some Polaroids, at least, for the costumes.
Not in the budget.
Yeah, that's fair. Polaroid film's expensive. So yeah, that's basically the other thing I was gonna say is I love the characterization of Janet in this scene. That, I mean, she gets her ring and she's literally giddy, like giggling, and then she crams that thing on her finger and runs to find any random person to show it to, and the first thing she says is that it's nicer than Betty Monroe had. I mean, that is
what? I didn't
clearly-
know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We just knew that it was nicer
The
than.
mystery spoilers. You spoiled me. Oh, well, now I don't have to listen to the next one. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Please listen on to every single episode.
But yeah, so I think that's great. They perfectly characterized her as a kind of shallow type of marriage obsessed white bread woman. You know?
And he is definitely a white bread man.
Yeah.
I want to eat some bread. I'm
So
hungry.
those are my notes for this minute. Besides callbacks, did you guys have any other things you wanted to say before we got into callbacks?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things, just a couple of costuming notes. Magenta is really rocking it with her rag from Vince with ShamWow. I absolutely love the sham that she's using, because it's not just a rag; it's like clearly a chamois or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Janet's hat in this, Sue Blaine is already kind of. We've talked about how she hated this fucking hat in this scene because it was just such a pain in the ass. It was a nuisance, and Janet's constantly having to keep it on her head while she's running. But she does have her sensible white patent leather mini purse with a gold chain everywhere with her.
Yeah, I always noticed that my Janets in real life are also holding on to their hats as well.
You have to, especially if you have a big ass head like mine, where no hat is gonna stay on as you run. But yeah, I mean, you have to keep. Plus, I mean, if you want to be screen accurate, you want to put your hand on the hat. But yeah, Janet, she hangs on to that purse
like there's money in it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what, like, if I undergo some of the events that are going to befall her, at some point I'm putting my purse down. I mean, we're gonna get to a point where she's like stripped naked and watching a creature come to life. Sorry for spoilers. And she is still hanging on to her purse.
I mean, it's got her credit cards, it's got her makeup, it's got her like Costco card.
Yeah.
Like she's a girl has to keep her purse.
Yeah, it's got her blow. It's got her poppers.
Are we talking about poppers?
Yeah.
No, Oscar, we're not talking about poppers.
We totally can. Like, this is the perfect This is the perfect moment. Brad acts like he's on that right now.
How would you know, Oscar?
Yeah.
should I show you my fridge? Oh wait, no one can see it. I can clink the bottles in front of my microphone, and that way you get an idea of how many I have.
No, we're good.
Okay.
I think the audience has an idea of how many you have just from listening to you.
I could put them inside a purse.
Yeah.
I do love, there's this wonderful part where Brad, who, you're right, he's acting like he's on poppers, he grabs Janet rather aggressively by the arms, and Janet has this look of, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then Brad goes, I love you, and goes in for a kiss and then psychs the fuck out.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a real callback or just something our regulars do, but they do say psych after he
I've heard it.
her, basically.
It's a real callback. Don't be ashamed.
I'm not ashamed.
And then
I haven't heard it anywhere but at our cast.
It's also right after the psych out kiss. If you're listening to a film version or the DVD or Blu-ray or what have you that has the updated soundtrack, you get this very prominent guitar riff, and it sounds kind of like the Kids in the Hall theme. It's ba-da-da-ba-da-ba-da-bam, bam, ba-da-da-ba-da-ba-da-bam, and it's right there, and I'm equal parts in love with and hating it.
I really gotta listen to the Blu-ray. Like that's currently my old man Rocky person wall that I'm in right now, where I've yet to see the Blu-ray top to bottom and hear all the new stuff that's in there. To think there is something still new about Rocky Horror I have not explored.
And you might be the first person ever to go, I really can't wait to watch the Blu-ray of Rocky Horror.
I mean,
that's going to be dope.
Well, that's a conversation for another podcast.
It sure can be.
Well, so a good one when he's going backwards to write on the church door, and he says the road was long, but I ran it
backwards,
because he is indeed running backwards. Oscar, I know you liked the Smurf callback from a previous minute, and there's another Smurf callback as Riff is jabbing his pitchfork into the shrubbery.
That one's a Smurf one? I thought that was a baby one.
I've heard it as baby.
Okay, I've heard it as Smurf. Maybe, again, that might just be something our regulars do.
Both.
Maybe
both is good.
It was a baby Smurf. No.
So what's this callback?
I don't even remember how it's phrased, but it's something about Riff killing those Smurfs. Or babies.
So, as a riffraff, at least the way that I've remembered some of the movements is, it's the road was long, but I ran it backwards. There's a fire in my heart, and you fan it backwards. There's a baby in the bush, so let's kill it. Ah! But you could say, there's a blue Smurf in the bush, so let's kill it. No, I don't know.
Audience,
yeah, I mean, I've heard something. I've heard there's a Smurf in the bush or whatever, and then of course
this is the most active bush ever.
Well, you haven't been around the world in that regard.
I haven't been around a girl, so that's probably why I don't know much about active bushes.
Yeah. And then as he's drawing the heart on the door, and he says, as he's doing that, he says, "Damn it, Janet, I love you," and people often will chant, "Only assholes write on doors."
I like the callback to that callback, which is, that door's got a heart on.
That is a good one.
Oh, I love it.
And then, you hear 3 ways that love can go. There's a lot of different ways that people riff on that.
There's 3 ways. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting them now. There's 3 ways that love can go.
That's gay, straight, or bisexual is my favorite one.
Yes, that's correct.
That's a good one. Of course, there's anal, oral, and vaginal.
Anal,
which is simply not creative, if you ask me. There's way more than 3. But where's the foot representation in this callback?
This is foot fetish erasure.
Leandra marched for foot fetish representation.
I did not.
Isn't
and
marching
she
the
made sure
perfect
everybody was wearing open-toed shoes.
No.
All right, anyway.
marching is the perfect form of protest for foot fetishists? Now that I think about it,
No.
Oscar would know.
I'm not a foot fetishist.
Well, neither am I.
I'm a foot
Yeah.
admirer.
Methinks you do.
Whoa, what? Why is that so surprised? When you see a guy with a really big foot, you can massage the foot, but then you touch everything else afterwards. Like,
Do
you're
you
not
wash your
into the
hands?
foot.
I'm
Maybe?
done.
I can't remember.
Okay. Those were the callbacks I had. A joke about Oscar having a foot fetish has come back.
It's not. I'm not a foot. Oh gosh, no.
No, he's a foot
podcast fan?
enthusiast.
Yeah.
No, foot admirer. I
There are
can admire a
dozens
big
of
foot,
Okay.
especially if it's like on a guy who's like short. It's like, how did you get these big feet? You're so short.
Oscar likes hobbits. You've heard it here first.
True.
Does anybody else have any callbacks?
I have one.
Okay.
It doesn't have to do with feet or hobbits.
Damn it.
I think a while ago we were trying to talk. It actually was not related to the Rocky Horror geriatric show,
But it fits there.
But it fits there. A
Yeah.
long time ago, I was trying to avoid cursing when I first did Rocky because I didn't like doing it so much. Then I cursed like a sailor. Now I'm toning it back. Now that I'm semi-retired because I have to actually be out in the world working. But I would replace the callbacks with something way more innocent. The river was. Oh yeah. Whenever he said, "Damn it, Janet, I love you," I'd replace it with Jinkies, Velma. I found a clue. When he says it again, I say, Jinkies, Daphne. I found one too. Then when he goes into, here's a ring to prove that I'm no joker, I'd be like, oh gosh, what did I say?
It must have been the
Disgruntled
disgruntled carny.
carny. He would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for those darn kids and their stupid mutt named Scooby-Doo. Be-doo! Which is great because then there's a Scooby-Doo callback later. Oops, spoiler!
So one final thing in that very final sentence when Janet runs in and she starts singing. This is the first time that we see Columbia.
Yes,
And we'll definitely talk about that more next time.
did not know that was Little Nell. Probably for a couple of movies more when I didn't know that was Patricia Quinn.
It took me a long time to even notice Columbia being there, or Little Nell, I should say.
Yeah, it's
like not even just that I didn't realize she was Little Nell. It took me a long time to even notice that person.
Yeah, because she's kind of like at the bottom of the screen. The focus is all on Brad and Janet. Like, you don't really look around. I thought it was a very elegant solution in terms of them adapting the musical, since they usually have phantoms sing it somewhere in the background or even on the stage. And it's like, why don't we have the three people who will appear later and just have them sing Janet or Oh Brad? And I always found that an interesting touch. What's the name of the producer? Lou Adler?
Yes.
Yes. An interesting touch by Lou Adler. Or whoever adapted it, the director.
Yeah. So, Leandra, do you have any more callbacks?
No, but I do have a parting question for our wonderful guest.
Aw, thank you for having me.
So, my question for you is, what are you most excited to hear about upcoming in the movie?
I'm interested to hear opinions about Sweet Tea, since that's a big moment, and also the time warp. And I'm very excited to hear. This is more cerebral. I'm interested to hear the thoughts on the sex scenes, because that'll be
cerebral.
Very cerebral.
Yes.
I was in a podcast separately from this one. Actually, it was a video thing that I was doing with a different cast.
Actually, it was porn.
No, it wasn't porn. I wish it was. Check out my trailer at Metro DC 1983. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not. But they were talking about how Rocky Horror survives in 2020 and the sex scenes were talked about a little bit since it's a y'all can talk about it when you get there. I'm gonna be interested in finding out what your thoughts are.
Absolutely. Oscar, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
It has
so much
been a
for having
delight. You are truly better than normal people.
Aw, thank you.
So let's go ahead and end this like we end all of our shows.
Should we do the trio?
Yes.
Now, you don't have to go home.
But you can't stay here.
So get the fuck out.
Bye, everybody!